And here's the thing, Austin, despite all that like fucking aggression and hostility I gave you in the intro, it's actually going to be an alley-oop for you on this one, mate, because you made a video about this recently. I thought it was really good. So my good point, think about the last month or so, guys, is the play of Bit from Na'Vi. Because what I think's really interesting is, look, this is where I know that even though, like, I'll give you a quick concept, right? The only reason someone would come and go like affirmation style in the mirror every day and go, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're independent, you're going to go out there and tell, it's because you have to tell yourself that to brainwash yourself. And that's why you then also then post it on your Instagram. Because what you're trying to do is you're actually trying to convince yourself. You're not convincing the world. You're trying to convince yourself through a feedback loop of seeing that message, reading it and hearing it and thinking it, and then doing it. So basically, the point I'm going to get to goes like this. The reason I know you all don't know fuck all about the tactical side of CS is you all tell me all the time, all you care about is tactics and really in-depth stuff in game knowledge. But then when I read your actual opinions, you know, when you have to put your money where your mouth is and show, not you, I'm talking about fans here. When I actually see your attempt at insight and analysis, your insight and analysis goes like this. The guy with the most frags had a really good game. Guy with no frags, shit, he needs to step it up. And then when I ask, like, well, how does a player play? You go, oh, Bit, he is a headshot machine after you look on HLTV.org and see he has the highest headshot. But like, what even is that? Like, that's that you know, no human analysis. Like, an actual AI could do that. An AI could just go and look up what number is higher. So here's why, and I think your video was fire for this, mate, is what I actually think is interesting with Bit is, bro, the reason, even though he's not Bit of 2021, he's a totally different player, though. Because, bro, I remember the player back then was just a turret. That was the player where when you heard that rumor, like, oh, apparently, like, Simple Electronic on CT side, just tell him when to push up and stuff, and then when to back off. It made perfect sense because that was exactly how he played. He'd come out, get like a 3K, and then he could tell, unlike, you know, like a Boros or something, they could just tell him, like, just get the fuck back now, mate, and he would. He'd come back, and then Na'Vi looked perfect, didn't they? That team looked unbeatable. But you look at him in the modern day Na'Vi, where he doesn't have either of those players, you'll notice, you can't say they're doing anything. Bro, he has actually gone from being what I thought was just like all hands, no brain, to like, if anything, it's his hands don't even rose to it. Bro, his brain's fucking mega. Like, I thought on your video, you made a really good point. There's no way some of these calls, A, were planned by Blade. They're clearly from what's happening in the round. And B, I don't even think Alexi's calling these, because some of these are where he's like the lurker, or when he's on CT and like the team's off doing something. So this guy has actually unironically developed into a really cerebral player, actually. Like, I would say his intuitive feel for the game seems really good, Austin. So give me some thoughts. Obviously, it's a late alley-oop for you, because if people go to your video, you did like a whole demo review, and I thought it was pretty good, though.
Yeah, I mean, Bit has become a Rops-like player, and I think people just don't even pay any attention to that because, you know, like I said, what you said, when people think of Bit, they just think of somebody that's just going to shoot out everybody in the server.
Yes.
But when I mean, I've covered a few demos actually from Bit on my channel. Like, I did one on Mirage, one on Nuke, and a while back one on Anubis. But it's just because he puts himself in a position where he can, like, kind of call the round. I don't. It's hard to like explain without having like an example in front of me, but like he gets information that like he shouldn't have. Like on Mirage, he'll like creep up in apartments and he'll like hear where the players are going. And based on where the players are like making noise, like, oh, the cat player swung or the short player swung, like I hear the guy jump spotting B. Like you'll watch like the map, all of his teammates will start to shift over towards B. And then on a timing when everybody's ready, then he'll peek the jump spot or he hits the shot because it's Bit. And then they just have the B site. And then you also see this on Nuke, like the review I did, he just puts himself in their right positions all the time. He's always making it work. And it's just a lovely play.
He's insane on Nuke T side. He's fucking bonkers, isn't he? Like the amount of times he's basically creeping through what the equivalent would be like your dead spot on the radars, the CTs, is insane. Like this guy's basically always getting like a flank he can never expect off.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite players to watch. And like, again, you just see him and every time I watch him, I think I'm watching Rops. And then I look at the name tag, I'm like, is this Bit? Like, when did he become this player? So, yes. Yeah, he's definitely making it work for Na'Vi right now. Like, when I think of the best player on Na'Vi, I'm thinking of Bit 100%. Like, some people will say JL, some people will say Wonderful. I think it's Bit, hands down.
He's been really impressive lately. And I feel like one narrative that got tired really quickly is lurking dead, and really I feel like that was just people zooming into Spinks and Rops having a bit of a weak couple months, and really now it's just Rops. Like Spinks is popping back off again.
The question now is Rops dead, right? I guess that's just shift the question, honestly, right?
Yeah, no, it's just I think you have to shift the whole narrative right now to just about Rops and what's going on with him, because people I think even Spink said that lurking is not as good in CS2 himself, but it's like, okay, you're doing well again, so clearly you don't actually believe that anymore, or you shouldn't, because yeah, Bit is somebody that's really proven that the role is still got a lot to it, and I don't know. I think it deserves probably you've done a good dive there on Bit, but I wonder why, like. I still wonder why Rops is as bad as he is. I feel like his decision making is just flat out worse than it used to be. But no, in terms of highlighting how good Bit has been lately, that's also why Na'Vi has been such an interesting team, because it is a win by committee where it's different people popping off every single tournament. JL was, I mean, say what you will, Thorin, but I would be able to decide that like the first few months of the year, JL to me, I mean, mostly because of the major, obviously. The major, he had so many X Factor plays, but nowadays he doesn't really have to make as many X Factor plays, and they can still win. Also, I don't think his read is necessarily as good as, say, Bits. I also think Wonderful has probably been way more, actually, Wonderful has just flat out been more consistent. And so I'd say like, it's kind of like, the recency bias has me also agreeing with that Bit has been the best player of Na'Vi for at least this season, and actually pretty easily too. Because of EWC, he was so transcendent at that event. At the Blast groups, I think he had basically one bad map from whenever I watched Na'Vi games. He basically never fell off, and the only time he did fall off was when Liquid was able to beat them. So other than that, he's just taking everybody down. He's still a multi-frag machine on top of that. He'll make the right decision, and on top of that, if he makes the wrong decision, he bails himself out with good killing ability as well.
By the way, I'll just throw in there, the reason why this development is also sick is because, mate, if you ever needed more proof of how fucking cracked out Blade is, well, it has to be him, doesn't it? Like, remember, he finds all these people when they're nobodies, like Bit was nobody, Perfecto's nobody. He just gets these people as nobodies, and then by the end, the finished product is like the best imaginable player for that role, because I told you, the one thing about Blade is, he is the person who believes that, like, he doesn't believe that saying the perfect's the enemy of the good. He's like, no, I'll try and be perfect. And it's like, it's a ridiculous thing to do, but if you can pull it off, obviously, fucking insane, isn't it? So no, mad props to everyone who's been involved in his development. Just a fabulous player now. Yeah. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.